I'm here with Fabiano Caruana, who just drew his round 8 game against Sarana. Fabi, it was a position you just told me that there wasn't very much to work with as black.
Yeah, most people played d4 on the first move, and that was really boring. I mean, some games got interesting, but I think mostly because white was getting some advantage. And I equalized comfortably, but just the pieces got traded off. Like, there were two options. Either I get a bad position or the pieces come off the board. And only Ralph chose e4, which turned, I mean, from the top boards at least, I didn't see the other games, which turned the game interesting. So only Magnus was able to get like a sharp fight and now has a pretty comfortable endgame, I think.
Do you think Magnus, speaking of him, he's on 7 out of 7. Do you think he can win all the games?
I think it's very possible at this point. I mean, I would say he's a favorite to win over a draw at this point in the game. He has a pleasant endgame. There's no pressure, so he's not nervous. Ralph is probably under pressure and maybe a bit upset with how the game has gone, especially since a draw would give him very good chances of a high prize and maybe second place. I mean, probably nobody was really thinking after 7 rounds about catching Magnus with 1 point difference, and for most of us 1.5 points, which is just impossible. I still had some hope that, okay, if I win my round 7, then I can I'll maybe play Magnus and maybe I can still fight for something. But yeah, unfortunately my round 3 was where things went wrong, and surprisingly, even winning 3 games after that just wasn't enough to even be fighting for first still. I had to beat Badur, and for one moment in the game I had a chance. It was absolutely bizarre. I knew he was pressing super hard for a win and maybe it would give me a miracle chance, which happened, but it was also after losing multiple times, so I guess I can't be too upset with the one accidental chance. I
mean, it's been, as you mentioned, quite an up and down. The early loss in round 3, then winning 3 in a row. Now we're almost at the end of the tournament, just 1 round left. But you have an advantage over a lot of the other players, which is that you have already qualified to play in Vegas by coming 3rd in Paris. Now there's 1 spot up for grabs. Magnus is qualified, you're qualified. The battle rages on. What's your prediction?
It's a bit too close, I think, because it really depends. If Ralph holds, then that he could be in a very good position. But if Yesipenko holds, then I think he would be the favorite to get second place against Vincent. And if Vincent wins, then it's a whole other story. And also there's Amin, who has a very promising position against Maxime currently. I think there's a whole host of possibilities. I don't think I really have a chance for second. I will still fight for it. I have white in the last round. If I win, probably not second, but probably a decent. It's just very sad because I was playing a great game against Etienne, and then I just couldn't remember. Can you castle while capturing on f8? And I was a bit shy to ask the arbiter.
Oh, you didn't ask?
No, I didn't ask. I was like, okay, logically you shouldn't be able to do both. It would be a bit overpowered. But there was, I think, a time online when you could do this. And I just didn't feel like asking. Okay, it's stupid, of course. I should have asked. Etienne asked. He told me after the game.
It wasn't possible, right?
It wasn't possible. Yeah, I asked Etienne, I wasn't 100% sure. Otherwise knight takes f8 was clearly winning. And it's a nice game. But then I thought, okay, why bother? Because knight takes c4 also looks pretty good. And then I realized that it was far less clear, and things fell apart from there. So that was, because it would have been a great game, I think, if I'd played knight takes f8. I could have just gone with my gut. My gut told me, okay, he can't possibly play rook takes f8 castle. That's just seems silly. But then I did second guess myself.
It's interesting you should say that. You're not the first player to mention it in an interview. Hans actually said, castling is so tricky. Is it funny to you that even the best players in the world are not 100% on the rules all the time?
Now I feel with this unpleasant experience, I feel pretty sure about castling in all cases. Also during the game, there was a point when he could have played, in my calculations, when he could have given a check on the back rank, and I can play castle rook f1 defending against the check. But I realized, and I even remember the case of Wesley trying this against Jan in the World Championship in 2022, where he tried to castle to protect against check, which is not possible. This I remembered, and also it's logical that you can't castle if you're in check. But this other one was it was the last castling rule I hadn't thought about for whatever reason, and I hadn't encountered before. It's very unusual. or maybe I had encountered it and just forgotten. But
anyway, that's a tip for our viewers. If you're not sure about the rules, do go and check with the arbiter during the game.
It's just like you played chess for 30 years and then you're a bit embarrassed to ask, oh, what are actually the rules of this game we're playing? If I could calculate that game, but I just didn't know the rules of chess, unfortunately, which is maybe I should check in the future.
I love that. Fabi, something different. You played in Weissenhaus 2 times. You played in Singapore, a match against Magnus. You played in Paris just before this. Those were, either a match against Magnus or round robin elite tournaments. Here, the tournament is open to everyone. How was the experience for you playing in such a large field?
It was difficult. I would actually say a little bit easier, though, than if we were playing normal chess with preparation before each game, because then you don't have time to rest. You're just kind of running back and forth. And I did have this experience in the US last year. I was playing 2 opens back to back, 2 rounds a day, and also preparing. Like, you have 15 minutes to prepare, and then everything's a rush. And sometimes you're even late to the game. And here it was a bit more chill, which is nice because we find out the position right before. I overall thought it was a fun experience. Of course, the result, there's always something a bit regrettable, Yeah, but overall I had fun.
And the tournament also, there's no stress about the preparation, and I wouldn't call it stress, but there's a lot of fans. I see some of them already waiting for you here again. How did you like the interaction with all the fans, and do you feel the support from the people who come here to watch?
Yeah, it's nice, and sometimes a little bit too much. There's I don't know how many thousand people are playing here, and a lot of kids, so their parents are here, so it's a huge crowd. Can sometimes be a bit overwhelming, but it is nice to see.
Fabi, thank you so much for sharing, especially the castling story. I think it's very refreshing, to hear that transparency, and that even for the rest in the world, sometimes these things are tricky. Best of luck for the last round this afternoon.
Thank you.